Alright, this morning we are at Penang Hill, one of the main sites. Go up in a cable car, see a bit of a view. It's pretty busy here, but it looks okay. Let's see how it is. Alright, just got in, in line waiting for the queue to get to the tram. About 100 people, it's not too bad. Could be worse.
Okay, so we are at Penang Hill, waiting to get in the cable car, and you know me, there's one thing I love when it's travelling, and it's a good queue. Well, you know, love, I absolutely hate it, but to be fair, this one wasn't too horrific. I did try to buy an express ticket, but somewhere between my English and their English, it got completely lost in translation. So a standard ticket it was. Eventually I made it to the top of the hill. First stop, the observation tower. A little bit hazy, reasonably busy, but thankfully not a completely rammed site. So far, Penang Hill, not bad. Let's take a look.
Alright, so the view from Penang Hill was pretty good. I'm not quite sure how well the footage will come out though, as it was a little bit hazy. Could see it pretty well with the eyes, but hey, we'll see how we get on.
Once you've admired the view, you inevitably end up at what I like to call the standard Asian tourist attraction, Food Fest. Lots of stalls, plenty to eat, plenty to drink, and absolutely, I've no idea what half of this food is. I decided to be adventurous and try this strange looking dessert that resembled kidney beans, though it was not. Not normally my first choice of pudding, but when in Malaysia, let's go for it. The kids played it safe with an Oreo ice cream. Probably the smarter decision. Anyway, suitably fed and slightly confused, let's keep moving. Next up, the incredibly colourful Hindu temple. Normally I'd go in for a look, but shoes off at the door, and today I've made the rookie error of wearing trainers. I'm normally a flip-flop kind of guy, but today I'll respect this from a distance.
Just walking around the different parts of Penang Hill. Just at some kind of Indian temple now. There might be some kind of rainforest walks or something like that. To be honest, I've no idea. I'm just working it out as I'm walking around. Alright, so I've just entered this place called the Habitat, and that's in Penang Hill. Looks a bit like an adventure walk and a few things thrown in, but I'm not quite sure. But look, we're going to take a look. But it looks pretty interesting. It's good to be in the rainforest area.
Next up, the canopy walk, and suddenly you're surrounded by this lush, green jungle oasis. You're basically wandering across bridges, through the treetops, with rainforests everywhere. Very peaceful, very tropical, and thankfully, those trainers are starting to justify themselves.
Alright, so on this suspension bridge, apparently it's one of the longest ones in the world. However, I'm calling BS on that one, because I think I've been on bigger ones in South Korea. However, worth a view, look, worth a view. It's pretty solid in structure. It's not wobbly, which is a bit of a shame. I kind of like a wobbly adventure. Here, take a look.
Still wandering across the canopy walk, and then for absolute no apparent reason, you come across this enormous sit-down swing. Obviously, I had to give it a go because nothing says tropical rainforest adventure quite like a middle-aged bloke gently swinging amongst the trees.
Get on then.
What's going on here?
Just sit on. We're fussy. Right, you get on. What's it, photos?
Makes me really classic.
Classic. We'll give you a big push. Oh, look at that. Oh, you can eat them, can't you?
Yeah, go for it, John.
Stumbled across this treetop walk just after meeting this horrible little creature. Nothing like a giant mutant maggot to enhance your rainforest experience. Anyway, let's give it a go.
Alright, so I'm at somewhere called the Habitat. In fact, I've no idea what it's called, but it's some kind of walkway which goes all the way around. Alright, so we're at the top of this structure. The views are pretty awesome. Hopefully you can see that, but maybe not.
So I've made it to the Curtis Crest, apparently the highest viewing platform in Penang. You're 13 metres above the rainforest, walking around this slightly wobbly circular platform with a full 360-degree view across the island. Now, I'm not particularly scared of heights, but when the floor starts moving underneath you, you do suddenly become a little more religious. Absolute cracking view though.
Getting a bit bright now, so I might have to switch to my shades.
And that pretty much brings us to the end of the Habitat walk. Wildlife-wise, slightly disappointing. One horrible grub, a few monkeys, and that was about it. The bigger problem was we'd somehow ended up miles away from the cable car back down, and I was already preparing myself for another ridiculous walk when by some absolute miracle a courtesy buggy appeared. Never been so happy to see a golf cart in all of my life. Get me in there, brother.
All right, so just finished the Penang Hill trip. It was actually pretty good. My biggest tip will be to buy an express ticket. I bought a normal ticket by mistake, which means I've got to queue up a little bit longer so I can get down again. But the walkway, the tropical walk was good. That's an extra ticket charge, but again, look, it's worth it. Didn't really see too many animals except for the monkeys at the end of the trip. But yeah, all in all, worth a visit.
And after all that walking, it was finally time to head back down, straight onto the cable car, feed up, job done. And I tell you what, this thing doesn't hang around. You absolutely fly down the hill, Penang Hill, definitely worth doing. But just remember, buy the express ticket, unlike this idiot. Right, time for a beer.